Before the first wings touched the wind, there was silence. A silence so deep that even the stars forgot their names. In that stillness, a great egg floated within the sea of sky. It shimmered with every color ever imagined: gold, crimson, sapphire, and the faintest silver breath of dawn. This was no mortal egg. It was the egg of light, born of the breath of Vishnu himself, a vessel that carried both creation and storm. Inside it, something stirred, a heartbeat echoing like thunder in a dream. The gods gathered around the cosmic sea, their eyes reflecting the glow of the egg. No one dared to speak, for they could feel the weight of destiny upon it. Then, from among them, the goddess Vinata, mother of the wind, stepped forward. Her voice trembled like a song carried by a breeze. "Within this light," she said, "my child dreams. He is the promise of the sky, the one who will break the chains of earth." The other gods bowed their heads. Even Indra, Lord of Thunder, watched in silence, for he knew that when the egg hatched, the heavens would never be the same again. 1,000 dawns passed. The egg shimmered through ages, unbroken, eternal, whispering to the wind. Sometimes it pulsed like a heart. Other times it slept in the rhythm of stars. Vinata sang to it every night, her lullaby woven from wind and prayer. "Sleep, my child of storm and sun. Dream until the sky remembers your name." And though the world below moved on, mountains rose, oceans sighed, mortals prayed. Within the egg, Garuda dreamed. He dreamed of wings, vast, endless, covered in feathers of flame and dawn. He dreamed of flight so powerful that even shadows trembled beneath him. He dreamed of freedom, not from the world, but into it. In his dream, the sky was not above, but within. Every gust of wind became a memory, every light a heartbeat.
The egg of light pulsed brighter. Its glow touched the clouds, and from the edge of the cosmos, Vishnu watched in stillness. At last, the dream began to awaken. The egg shuddered with the rhythm of thunder. Lightning danced across its shell like veins of gold. From deep within, a voice, soft but infinite, whispered, "Let there be wings." The heavens split open. Storms gathered. Even Indra's chariot trembled before the sound of creation returning to breath. Then came the first crack. A sliver of pure light cut through the sky. Not sunlight, not fire, but something older, something holy. The gods shielded their eyes. The wind fell silent. The stars blinked, as if holding their breath. From within the light, a feather drifted out, glowing gold at its core, its edges burning like morning. Vinata reached out, tears of awe streaming down her face. "My child," she whispered, "the sky remembers." The first feather drifted like a sunrise learning its own name. Where it touched the air, the clouds brightened. Where it touched the sea, the tide sighed and turned. All around the egg of light, the world tilted toward a promise. Vinata lifted the feather to her brow. "Grow," she whispered, "in gentleness. Be born without fear." Her breath crossed the shell, warm as a mother's song. The egg answered with a deeper glow. Cracks traced the shell like rivers on a sleeping map. Each line shone: saffron, amber, the blue-white thread of dawn. From within, a rhythm gathered: heartbeat, breath, storm. Heartbeat, breath, storm. The gods did not speak. They listened. Even Indra set his thunder aside. holding its reins as one holds back tears. From the far shore of stillness, Vishnu watched as a father watches light painting the face of a newborn. "Let there be wind," said the voice inside. Not loud, inevitable. The air answered by remembering its first motion.
Hills bent, forests bowed. Banners of cloud unfurled along the rim of the sky. Birds woke in the mines of stones. On the floor of the ocean, sleeping currents rolled, turning their faces toward a horizon yet to happen. The shell parted, not broken, opened like a gate that knows who approaches. Out poured quiet radiance, and with it the shape of a wing, vast as a continent, delicate as prayer. Feathers layered upon feathers, not the red of fire nor the gold of coin, but the patient bronze of morning before it shines. Garuda's eye appeared, not fierce, but lucid. He saw Vinata first. He learned love before flight. "Child of the wind," Vinata said, "the world is wide. Do not rush to carry it. Let it carry you first." She cupped the air beneath his new wing, and the air remembered what hands feel like. Garuda breathed. His chest rose, carrying a fragrance like rain on warm stone. With each breath the sky grew lighter, as if memory itself were shedding weight. A shadow moved along the shore of heaven, not threat, but balance. Kadru, sister of Vinata, watched with the soft, slow gaze of the serpent mother. Around her ankles, ancient coils turned like rings of time. "Wings rise," she murmured, "and coils hold. Between them, the world keeps its shape." Her voice slid into the quiet like cool water. In the deep earth, the Naga heard and were content. Let the sky be lifted if root and river are honored. Thus, on the day he was born, Garuda learned his first law. Flight without forgetting ground is freedom. Garuda stood. Feathers sluiced light the way rivers sluice snow. He did not leap. He did not tear the air. He opened the space of a single breath, and the wind leaned toward him. The first wing beat fell like a bell. No clang, no blaze, a tone. It traveled through mountains and marrow, through temples and the shadows behind them. Oxen raised their heads. Sleepless men slept. A child smiled without knowing why. Indra stepped forward, thunder quiet in his hand. "There is strength," he said, "that conquers, and there is strength that gathers. Yours is the second." He set the thunder down beside Garuda like an elder laying a tool at a young craftsman's feet. "May your roar be music." Garuda bowed. A curve of wing, a promise of courtesy. In the gesture, the sky learned grace. He rose a little, then settled. Rose again, then settled, as if teaching himself the tides of height. On the third ascent he tasted distance, and distance tasted sweet. But he remembered Vinata's palm beneath the air, and Kadru's river-dark wisdom curling at the rim of vision. Above the cloud he found a corridor of hush. There, waiting in a patient blaze, stood Vishnu. No crown, no weapon, only an ocean in a smile. "Ride not the wind," Vishnu said. "Keep company with it. Carry not the world. Keep company with it." Power that refuses companionship becomes hunger. He touched Garuda's brow. A mark of brightness rested there, weightless and sure. Garuda descended to the edge of the sea of sky. The egg of light, now empty, folded itself into a small pearl of radiance and sank into his breastbone. Not as burden as compass, Vinata gathered her son in a circle of wind. Go when you must, she said. Return when you can. Between the going and the returning, remember to listen. Garuda turned toward the horizon that all mothers fear and all children earn. He lifted his wings. The second wing beat came round, whole, luminous, and the world, hearing it, moved one finger-width closer to itself.
The first dawn after Garuda's birth was unlike any other. The sky was not blue, but living, streaked with bronze and crimson, breathing like an ocean of flame. Below, the gods stood silent, their faces pale with awe. Garuda hovered above them, his wings outstretched, vast enough to cast shadows across the mountains. Yet his gaze was humble, curious, unafraid, as though seeing the world for the first time. "Is this the sky I was meant for?" he asked. The wind carried his voice through heaven. Vinata, his mother, watched from below. She smiled, but her heart trembled. "Do not fly too close to the fire that made you," she whispered. But the wind was already filling Garuda's wings. Above him shimmered the sun, vast and golden, and within it, he sensed a whisper, soft yet commanding. "Come, child of sky. If you would be free, you must know the fire that feeds freedom." He rose. Each beat of his wings bent the clouds, painting spirals of light that danced like prayer smoke. The world below grew small. The stars drew nearer. Then the air thinned until breath itself became light. He passed beyond thunder, beyond wind, into the quiet heart of radiance. At the center blazed a vast wheel, a mandala of fire and gold, its spokes turning through eternity. This was the chakra of heaven, Vishnu's eternal flame. Garuda hesitated at its edge. The light did not burn. It remembered. It showed him every creature that ever flew, every leaf that ever trembled in air. And then it spoke. "You were born of my breath, yet light that fears shadow cannot be whole. Enter and carry both." Garuda folded his wings and dove. He fell through layers of gold, white, and crimson, through histories of forgotten suns. Inside the flame he saw worlds, each turning on its own sorrow, its own beauty. He saw serpents coiling through rivers, humans lighting fires in the dark, and gods shaping destinies they barely understood.
In that vision he felt not power but kinship, and from it rose a new fire, not of destruction, but compassion. It burned clean without smoke, like truth spoken softly. When he emerged, his feathers no longer glowed only gold. They shimmered with every hue of creation, blue for the ocean, green for the forests, silver for the moon, and red for the pulse that unites them all. He had not conquered fire. He had become its harmony. The gods bowed as he descended, his light gentle now, like the promise before dawn. Indra smiled. The child of the sky has learned what thunder could not. Garuda touched the earth for the first time. The soil smoked softly beneath his talons, but did not burn. Where he stepped, flowers unfolded, petals of copper and flame. He bowed to his mother. The sky was vast, he said, but the earth was waiting. Vinata placed her hand upon his breast, feeling the warmth that pulsed there. "You have seen heaven," she whispered. "Now learn its shadow." That night, beneath a sky alive with new stars, Garuda dreamed. He saw a chain of light descending from the heavens, binding the world in a loop of duty and desire. At its end coiled a serpent, Naga King Vasuki, radiant and eternal. The serpent spoke without malice. Freedom is not flight. It is knowing what you carry. Garuda woke before dawn, heart heavy with unspoken understanding. In his chest, the egg of light pulsed once, like a memory calling him forward. From the mountains came the whisper of fate. The gods gathered once more, their faces stern with expectation. A trial awaited him, the fire of heaven, the test of balance between mercy and might. He bowed before Vishnu, his eternal guide. "I am ready," he said. The god of preservation smiled, eyes vast as galaxies. Then, "Fly not against heaven, Garuda. Fly with it."
As dawn broke, the first light of the world arced across his wings. It was not the light of conquest, but of return. Garuda rose again, each beat sending ripples through creation. From his flight, the winds were born, not tempests, but whispers. Songs of freedom, balance, and remembrance. The fire of heaven followed him like a heartbeat, and in its rhythm, the gods heard the beginning of all motion. The day after the fire of heaven, the world was quiet. Even the rivers held their breath, and the mountains glowed with a faint golden haze. Garuda had returned from the flame changed. His wings softer, his eyes deeper, his fire now calm as dawn after storm. But deep within his chest, the pulse of the egg of light stirred again. It whispered of balance yet unfulfilled. The voice of Vishnu echoed faintly within it. To know heaven, one must first free the earth. From the folds of the horizon came a low hiss, the sound of rivers remembering their birth. The Naga had awakened. Their scales shimmered like oil in moonlight, their eyes, twin lanterns beneath the waves. Among them rose their king Vasuki, the serpent of eternity. He coiled beneath the sacred mountain, his body stretching across oceans, his gaze still and patient. When Garuda descended, the air shivered. Bird and serpent, two symbols of sky and root, faced each other in silence. Vasuki spoke first. "Child of air, son of light, the sky trembles beneath your wings. Why have you come to the realm of shadow and water?" Garuda bowed his head. "Because the fire taught me warmth without arrogance. Now, I must learn stillness without fear." The serpent's tongue flicked softly. "Then you have come not to conquer, but to understand."
The ground cracked. From between the scales of Vasuki rose rivers of memory. Visions flowing like dreams turned to liquid. Garuda saw the first dawn reflected in the serpent's eyes, the day when light and shadow agreed to share creation. He saw that before wings ever rose, coils had held the earth in place. And in that moment he understood. His freedom existed because something else chose to hold. Days passed as Garuda remained among the Naga. He listened to the whisper of water through their veins, the pulse of patience that time had forgotten. They taught him that wisdom was not motion, but rhythm, the pause between breaths. Vasuki watched him with silent approval. "You burn without consuming," he said. "That is rare among those who fly." Garuda answered, "You hold without binding. That is rarer still." The serpent smiled, and for the first time, shadow and light shared laughter. Yet not all among the Naga were at peace. A younger serpent, proud and fierce, rose from the deep. "Why should we bow to the sky?" he hissed. "They fly above, basking in sun. while we guard the roots unseen. Garuda did not raise his wings. Instead, he lowered them, folding their brilliance into a single quiet shape. He spoke softly, "If I fly without remembering you, I fall. If you hold without remembering me, you drown." The serpent stared into his eyes and saw not light, but reflection. Vasuki turned to his kin. "Do you not see? The wind and the coil, the bird and the river. One cannot live without the other." He lifted his body, vast as a mountain, and wound around Garuda's wings. The sight was terrible and holy. Fire wrapped in water, flight cradled in patience.
From that embrace rose a shimmer that touched every corner of creation. The gods looked up, the mountains bent, even the stars paused their ancient spinning. Vishnu appeared then, radiant as dawn yet soft as moonlight. "Garuda," he said, "you have learned the fire of heaven and the silence of earth. Now you must bear the bridge between them." From his hand he drew forth a celestial thread, woven from wind and eternity. "This shall bind you not as a servant, but as harmony." He placed it upon Garuda's breast, and it merged with the pearl of light that once was his egg. The Naga bowed before the god. Vasuki lowered his great head to Garuda. "Fly then, winged brother," he said. "But when you rise, carry our stillness with you." Garuda's wings unfurled, the serpent's reflection still shimmering across their surface. With one motion, he lifted into the sky, but this time, the air carried the scent of river mist. And as he rose, the world beneath him no longer seemed small, but alive, connected, breathing with him. From that day, wherever Garuda flew, the wind whispered through mountains and streams alike. The Naga sang in the deep, the sky answered above, and creation found its rhythm once more. Freedom and foundation, flight and root, they were no longer two, but one. And so the sky dreamed of water, and the water dreamed of sky. Garuda flew for many ages after his meeting with the Naga. He crossed storms that had never known stillness, and skies that no god had yet claimed. His wings cast no shadow, only light, soft as memory. But peace does not last, even among the divine. For the gods of heaven began to whisper, "The one who carries both fire and stillness shall one day surpass us." And so jealousy, that ancient hunger, awoke. One evening, as the horizon bled crimson, Indra called upon Garuda. His tone was calm, but his eyes held the tremor of command.
"Child of the sky," he said, "the nectar of immortality, Amrita, lies hidden in the depths of the Naga realm. Bring it to the heavens, and your name shall be eternal." Garuda bowed low, though the air itself resisted. "Why should I carry eternity when all I seek is freedom?" Indra smiled faintly. "Freedom dies with death, Garuda. Immortality is the only true flight." But the words rang hollow. Garuda heard only the echo of the sky's silence. That night, as he perched upon the world's highest peak, the wind brought another voice, softer, deeper. It was Vishnu. "My son," the god said, "immortality without purpose is a chain of gold. But if your heart seeks harmony, not power, you may yet turn eternity into grace." Garuda listened, wings folded, the night heavy with stars. "I will not claim the nectar," he whispered, "but I will know its truth." He descended into the depths where rivers met the veins of the earth. There the Naga guarded the Amrita, a jar glowing with moonlight so pure that even the shadows forgot themselves. Vasuki greeted him with both sorrow and respect. "You seek the nectar of gods," said the Serpent King. "Know this, those who drink it lose their sleep, their rest, their end." Garuda bowed. "Then I shall not drink it, only carry it, for even the gods forget that light is a burden too." The Naga parted their coils. Garuda grasped the jar between his talons, and the nectar pulsed like a living heart. The heavens thundered as he rose. Mountains shattered beneath his wings. Stars flickered in awe as his shadow crossed them, the reflection of a soul bearing the weight of all creation. He flew not for glory, not for heaven, but for the quiet promise whispered by his mother. Freedom without love is flight without sky.
At the gates of heaven, Indra waited, his thunderbolt gleaming like a thought yet unspoken. "Well done, Garuda," he said. "Now surrender the nectar, and your place among gods shall be assured." Garuda landed softly, the Amrita glowing between his claws. "I did not steal it for myself," he said, "nor will I deliver it to envy." He lowered the jar before Indra, but then turned, facing the endless horizon. Immortality is not a gift, it is a question. The wind trembled. From behind, a divine presence filled the air with quiet radiance. It was Vishnu once again. "Garuda," he said, "you have done what no god dared, to hold eternity without desiring it. Because of that, I grant you your own immortality, not of body, but of purpose." Garuda bowed deeply. "What shall I serve?" Vishnu smiled. "Not me, not heaven. Serve balance. When the world tilts toward pride, you will bring it back to humility. When it forgets its stillness, you will teach it to listen." As Vishnu spoke, light flowed into Garuda's feathers, a quiet fire that would never fade. His wings stretched wider than the horizon, and his eyes mirrored both dawn and dusk. Indra bowed his head at last, understanding what kings so often forget, that service born of love is greater than rule born of fear. The jar of Amrita dissolved into mist, its essence spreading through creation, not as immortality, but as the spark of renewal that lives in all beings. Garuda rose once more, but this time his flight was different. Not upward, not away, but through the heart of everything. He felt the pulse of mountains, the sigh of oceans, the heartbeat of mortals dreaming in the dark. Every breath of wind carried his name, and yet he belonged to none of them. When he reached the edge of the sky, he looked back once more upon the world below, alive, fragile, eternal.
He whispered to the wind, "May every life rise, fall, and rise again, for even the gods need the dream of change." And with that, he vanished into the horizon, where sun and cloud became one, and the feathered sky began to dream again. There came a time when the winds themselves grew old. They no longer roared nor whispered, they remembered. And in that remembrance, the name of Garuda lingered like a half-dream at dawn. Across mountains of mist and oceans of cloud, the great bird soared no more for purpose, but for music, for the song that turns motion into meaning. Each wing beat became a hymn of balance, each shadow a blessing. The world had changed beneath him, yet the rhythm remained the same. From the rivers rose the Naga once more. They coiled not in fear, but in reverence. "Brother of sky," they said, "your flight has softened thunder and taught even serpents to dream." Garuda dipped his wings in the river's reflection. "Without your depths," he said, "my sky would have no meaning," and the water shimmered with his image. a feather made of light dissolving into ripples. He flew low over the earth one last time. Forests bowed beneath his wind. Deserts lifted their dust in salute. From temples and villages rose the prayers of mortals, some whispering his name, others simply breathing in awe. They did not know it, but every act of kindness, every moment of courage, was already the echo of his wings. At twilight, he reached the sea where the first dawn had once broken. The horizon burned gold and violet, the same colors that had filled the egg of light. There, waiting upon the waves, stood Vishnu. "Have you grown weary, my son?" asked the Eternal One. Garuda folded his wings and smiled. "Not weary, full. The sky has sung through me long enough."
Vishnu raised his hand, and the wind stilled. Then rest not in death, but in the rhythm between breaths. Let your essence scatter among all winds, so that every breeze may remember the balance you became. Garuda bowed his head. "My wings have always belonged to the world, not to me." And with a final beat, gentle as the closing of eyes, his form dissolved into radiant feathers of light. The feathers drifted through creation. One became a flame on a shrine, another the glimmer on a river's back. One settled in a child's dream, teaching courage, another in a mother's sigh, teaching patience. The last feather, gold and white, rose upward, beyond sky, beyond sun, beyond even memory, and vanished into silence. In the heavens, Vishnu spoke softly, "The wind has no master, yet it carries all voices. So shall Garuda remain, unseen, but everywhere." And below, when the wind touched the leaves, it hummed, a sound like wings remembering their dawn. Thus ended the birth of Garuda, but not his song, for the world still breathes in rhythm with the sky, and in every flight, every whisper of air across the skin, there is a hint of his dream, the dream of freedom that remembers its ground. Thank you for listening to Sleep with Myth.